Hey guys, and welcome back to Utility Sports. Today's video, we are going to be going over the top 10 teams in the NFL. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe as we do appreciate your support. Also, like the video if you do enjoy what you see in this video today. So we're doing the top 10 teams in the NFL, and it was kind of a hard decision towards especially the bottom end to kind of decide what teams go where. The top part of the list I feel a little more comfortable with, but it was really hard for me picking number 10 on this list because it's two division rivals, the Colts and the Titans, and they have split the season series. So obviously 1-1. Tennessee had won in their more recent matchup on the 29th of November by a landslide. So for that reason, I do like Tennessee's run game. I like Ryan Tannehill, obviously a little more than Phillip Rivers. But the one thing that I am a little critical of the Titans is they need to generate more pass rush. They are a good defense, but they just don't generate a ton of pass rush and produce enough sacks. But for the purposes of this, we will have Tennessee sitting at number 10. Now at number 9 is a team coming off of a loss. It's very unfortunate, but the Cleveland Browns were in that game against Baltimore all the way through. They ended up losing on a Justin Tucker field goal, but honestly, I really like the direction this franchise is heading in. Kevin Stefanski has this team going, has a clear direction for the franchise. Things are looking good in Cleveland. That's not something that you can generally say on a given year, but I really like Cleveland this year. They've had a phenomenal run game. Baker's been a lot better, and obviously they just have a good team in general. So I really like Cleveland here. Unfortunate loss to the Ravens, but they did move down on my list personally. Number 8, we have the LA Rams. So the Rams obviously are one of the best defenses in the NFL. Brandon Staley, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, has been great. He's been the big difference for the Rams. Obviously, Sean McVay has a great game plan on offense on a week-to-week basis. He's a smart guy. But the Rams as a whole are looking really good and kind of in sync. So I'm excited to see what this Rams team can do. Obviously, a lot of people forgot about the Rams. I mean, they were just in the Super Bowl. We cannot forget about this team as a whole. A lot of the same pieces are still there. Obviously, they have Jalen Ramsey, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. He's for sure, in my opinion, he's a top 3 corner still in the league. So Jalen Ramsey, big difference maker on that defense, and obviously the offense is still clicking right now. So I like the Rams here at 8. At number 7, we have the team that just beat the Browns, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. Once again, a lot of people are sleeping on this team holistically. I think that Baltimore has one of the best rosters in the NFL. Obviously, Lamar Jackson has taken a little bit of a step back from his MVP year last year, but as a whole, the Ravens are a really, really good team. John Harbaugh is a phenomenal coach. I think this team is going places, and I think a lot of people are severely underrating them. Obviously, they have not performed super well this year, but going into the playoffs, this is a very dangerous team. Obviously, on any given week, Lamar Jackson can absolutely pop off. But I had them here at 7, and a lot of people would generally have these guys lower. But for me personally, I think the Ravens are at number 7. Now at number 6, we have another team that I think is getting some disrespect by the general media as a whole, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, they have Tom Brady. They have a ton of weapons on offense. Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They also have, obviously, Gronk. But, I'm not saying that Gronk is that top-tier tight end anymore, but he is still a serviceable tight end. Obviously, Ronald Jones is playing, the best year of his career with Tampa right now. And that defense is a really, really solid unit as a whole. They're the number 1 rush defense in the NFL in terms of yardage. I really like Tampa Bay. They can really control the line of scrimmage for the most part on both sides of the ball. But they have a couple playmakers on offense, and they obviously have Tom Brady, which also gives them a chance. Well, I think a lot of people are sleeping on this team. I mean, they took care of Minnesota, who was extremely hot last week. They handled them solidly. So Tampa Bay at 6 for me. Now at number 5, we have the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, Taysom Hill is the current starter. They are coming off of a loss against the Eagles, but I think that the New Orleans Saints, once Drew Brees is back, they will be firing on all cylinders. I think that Alvin Kamara he's been phenomenal. He's really carried this New Orleans team this season. And it's going to be really hard to stop the Saints in the playoffs. Obviously, I think that once Breeze is back, he's going to be a big difference maker. It's going to be obviously a huge upgrade from Taysom Hill. But New Orleans, I mean, they have a great team, through and through. And I think they are still worthy of this number 5 spot. I do understand the concern of them losing to the Eagles, but I just don't know if they really took them seriously this week. Shouldn't be an excuse, but I think that the Saints are 5. At number 4, I have another team that is coming off of a tough loss, and that's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a team that all of a sudden people are calling frauds, calling fake. I don't think they are that. I think they are a very, very solid team through and through. I think defensively they are really good. Obviously, on the offensive end, I mean, they have a phenomenal pass game, but the thing that they are lacking is a consistent run game. I think James Conner has not given that to them this year. Obviously, they tried to work Benny Snell into the offense, but to be quite honest, I think Pittsburgh next year would be considering a running back in the draft. But we're not here to talk about the draft. We're looking at the actual rankings right now. And Pittsburgh's my number 14. I still think people need to realize that, this team's got a lot to offer, especially defensively. I mean, they are just phenomenal. A ton of playmakers on that defense. Obviously, Minkah Fitzpatrick's a stud. Really unfortunate that they lost Devin Bush, but they also have TJ Watt, who's been on an absolute tear. So Pittsburgh at 4. And at 3 for me, I'm going to have the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, they ended up beating Pittsburgh. Buffalo is a really good team. I think people need to realize that this team's for real. I was not the biggest Josh Allen believer, but he is proving me wrong. Obviously, Stephon Diggs has been a huge, huge part of why this team has had an increase on offense in terms of yardage. I mean, he's been phenomenal. There's no other word to describe Stephon Diggs, but Josh Allen's been good. The defense has been good. They just play good team football, and that's a ton of credit to McDermott, because he is one of the best coaches in the NFL, and he's obviously been able to do this for a couple of years now, and it's finally coming to fruition. This team is starting to have that continuity, and honestly, I think that they are going places. I think the number 3 spot is definitely warranted, especially with how they played against Pittsburgh. They really stuck it to them. I think that warrants the number 3 spot on this list. Now at number 2 is a team that solidified themselves as probably the best team in the NFC, and that is the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers is having an MVP caliber season. After seeing what he's been able to do this year, it's just incredible. I think that he deserves so much credit for this season, but I think very well he could win the MVP award this year. Him or Patrick Mahomes, I think right now he actually should be leading the MVP race. But Green Bay, wow, I mean, they are just stout on both sides of the ball for the most part, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Aaron Jones is a phenomenal player. He is so good. But the player that we really need to get a ton of credit to is Devontae Adams and his progression throughout his career. He has solidified himself as arguably a top 3 receiver, probably top 2. I could say this season he's been the best receiver in the NFL. Holistically, he is for sure a top 2 receiver. But Green Bay is very, very dangerous. Robert Tonyan's really come on as of late. He's got 9 touchdowns this season. I think Green Bay is in a really good position in the NFC to represent that conference in the Super Bowl. And their opponent is the number 1 team. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, they have the best offense in the entire league. You have Patrick Mahomes. You have Travis Kelce, who's leading the league in yards. You have Tyreek Hill, who's been on an absolute tear, who's also top 5 in yards in the NFL. And this defense is just playing, quite a bit better as an entire unit. But Kansas City, wow, they are a very, very dangerous team. Obviously, if you have Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be a tough matchup for whoever matches up with them in the playoffs. Is going to be very, very tough for them. But I think Kansas City is the number 1 team. I thought that going into this season that they would still be the number 1 team and very likely to repeat as Super Bowl champions. I think Kansas City is a wrecking ball, especially offensively. There's just so many guys you have to account for. You have Mecole Hardman, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Kelce, you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell. You got a lot of different weapons on that offense. Obviously, their offensive line is pretty good as a whole as well. But even if they're not playing as good as they normally should, Patrick Mahomes is able to make things happen outside the pocket. He's able to maneuver within the pocket. Just a lot to like from Kansas City. So that's going to conclude my top 10 teams list. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and also hit that like button if you did enjoy what you've seen today in this video. So I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video.